It was a blinding May morning, and Etta Sterling had wound herself into motion to experience it. Up until this moment, her 12 years of life had been spent in the ethereal inertia of a porcelain doll. She would typically feel stressed to savour the quiet at this time of day, before the hands of demand and duty plucked her from the comfort of her window seat. Like an angel in the clouds, she would spend her mornings watching over the everyday workings of her home village, the humble Pigeon Heath.
Good morning. Good morning.
This morning urged a break from routine. Daunting though it seemed in the doorframe, Etta had chosen to weave herself into a world she had previously resigned herself to watch. Smooth bumps of cobblestone protruded through her shoes as she pondered which plants crept up each cottage and realised these things were not possible up in her hilltop house. She squinted at a rusting wrought iron sign and wondered how they were made. Her brain sparked with questions over the smallest perceptions. She would keep these locked in her memory, for someone whom she trusted knew the answers. All in all, the experience felt radical in a way that could only be so to a wealthy young girl with parents away on business. I wasn't finished.
What on earth is she doing?
Watch her. Look at how she smiles.
No, it's in her posture.
Those eyes of hers.
Where are her parents?
She's... Oh, no. I shan't say.
Etta felt the full-bodied dread of an insect left alive on a dissection table. Was her joy such a horrible affront? Had she not conveyed it in the correct manner? Etta concluded that she had found peace with the world's grand design, but had yet to feel the same for its people. She was accustomed to long hours under unwanted scrutiny, but here she had the power to end it, or so she thought. Everywhere she turned, squinting eyes and whispering tongues multiplied, getting louder, warmer, closing her in. It was a nightmare come to life, and though it were every bit as nonsensical, she stewed in distress. What had she done wrong? She wanted to shout the words, but...
Hey!
Stop screaming, you little vole.
Etta's older brother Oscar had come to the rescue, though decidedly not for her. As he looked away from his sister and to the crowd, the brooch pinned to his breast, an uncanny yellow eye, frightened her into stillness. The villagers subdued for a boy of barely 20, holding their breath to better hang upon his words. In Pigeon Heath, money and knowledge were considered one and the same, and the Sterling family at least owned most of the former. In that moment, they could have died to know his truth, but he kept them in suspense as he readied his performance.
I can see it. Your heads are all brimming with horrific fantasies concerning my poor, sweet sister. As her proud older brother, my heart aches to tell you that they're all true. The precise tragedy that you have imagined has indeed come to pass. This thing standing before you now is not my dear little sister, but a machine meticulously crafted in her exact image. Yes, I have known the pleasure of her company since the day she was born, and the changes became crystal to me just as they have disturbed you now.
Her smile.
Yes.
Her posture.
Her smile.
Yes, her smile. Clearly, our craftsman grew sloppy with the finer details of this devil's work. Or, perhaps I should say, craftswoman.
Oh, hell's bells.
I knew it! I just knew it!
The supposed craftswoman decided she had heard enough of these proceedings and promptly sprinted her way towards the village outskirts. Within the past few years, she had perfected the art of navigating her home in such a way as to avoid a single other soul. This morning, it had saved her from becoming more to her community than the abstract memories of danger and impropriety that her name typically conjured. However, dear listener, I have neglected to mention that this supposed craftswoman is one Sable Wayland, the once beloved toymaker of Pigeon Heath. In what world would a maker of spinning tops, skittles and rocking horses be suspected
Sorry, hello. My work is much more sophisticated than that. I'd explain the minutiae, but I don't think it'd help my case at the present.
Sorry, what? Are you talking to me?
Yes, sir. Oh, you can actually do something tremendously useful for me. Do you know where Grey Violet Cottage is?
Down the side street, to your left. How could you hear me?
Ah, stupendous. Many thanks.
The peculiar past affection shared between Miss Wayland and respected socialite Anne Pennybacker was a secret kept well from the rest of Pigeon Heath. Miss Pennybacker and her new marital home was Sable's best, last and only resort in this trying time. Despite being intruded upon during a singular moment of peace before the day's engagements, Miss Pennybacker greeted Sable with a tenderness that years spent apart could never alter.
Sable Wayland, what the devil are you doing in my house?
Penny, it's bad.
What is it?
They're cursing my name.
More than usual?
No, you don't understand. They mean to hunt me for this. I believe it.
All right, you can stay for 2 days. Just 2. Then my husband returns from the city.
Oh, you are the finest gem. Thank you, thank you.
What did you do, Sable?
They think I've done away with...
The Sterling girl.
Poor little angel. This is Wayland's revenge.
Wayland will burn for this.
That's right. Wayland's career was founded upon one core principle: the perversion of childhood innocence. I saw through her front from the day her infernal shop opened its doors. She revels in danger, disruption, and death. She has no heart to speak of. Why else would she strike at that of our community? My dear sister, lured in, maimed, and recreated for her twisted ends.
No, stop.
Too long have we let her walk free. Whoever finds Wayland and brings her to me shall be paid a handsome reward by the Sterling family. It falls to you to see that she is punished in accordance with her sins. In the name of my sister, find this witch!
Wayland will burn.
The noise at its peak numbed the mind of the Sterling girl, grinding all her mechanisms to a halt. The sensation spilled down into her body, and she went limp in her brother's grip. Try as she did to end their frenzy, she could not break free to show the people she still bled. She imagined that, by now, they would no longer believe plain sight. Her blood would transform into red paint before them. Truthfully, the Sterling girl would not have been surprised if it did. Swiftly, imperceptibly, the weeks before this moment had indeed altered her very being beyond what she thought possible. However, even through all the noise and the numbness, she remained sure of 2 things. 1, the flesh and blood of Etta Sterling had been stolen away long before anyone knew, and 2, Sable Wayland was not the artist of the crime.
Aww.
2 months prior, upon the exact same hour of morning, Etta's parents departed for the city. Oscar wasted no time inviting his high society friends to Sterling Manor for a raucous evening of empty revelry, and did so that night. When Mr. and Mrs. Sterling were away, he was the man of the house, and his volume conveyed it. As did the wine he'd ordered by the caseful, wholly unaware of the price. The stench of alcohol wafted in waves under Etta's door, circling and staining every corner of her one safe haven. She prayed to a god she wasn't sure she believed in, to turn all her senses off.
Stop cowering like I'm holding you captive and do something useful.
Oscar kicked the lifeless body of a skeletal servant automaton towards his sister, naked as the day it was made. Its eyes rolled horizontally inside its head until painted pupils locked onto a terrified Etta.
Get this pile of junk to the scrapyard, will you? This one barely lasted a month. Honestly, you'd think Father could bring home something that works. Oh, don't give me that. It's not staying in my house, and I've got guests waiting. Besides, it told me it wanted you to dispose of it. I'll bet it wants one last good look at your face before eternity upon a scrap heap. Go now, and be quiet about it.
The scrapyard was a no man's land on the edge of the village, where heaps of discarded metal cast monstrous shadows over a rural idyll. To keep technological progress in the city occurring with speed and abandon, material reminders of the limitations of man were an unwelcome sight on its skyline, and thus relocated as far south as possible. Etta wished that her home weren't the next southernmost thing from the scrapyard. What scared her more than facing the uncanny wasteland of her parents' failed investments was the thought of what their successful ones looked like. She, their daughter, their proudest project of all, lived in the space between them, slowly suffocating.
What's the matter, sweetheart? It's only a hug. I'm your mother. I won't hurt you.
Head up, Etta. Eyes on me. Keep in mind what a visitor will think of us,
She just cried and cried for hours. No, I don't know over what.
She never speaks to the Montgomerys' children.
She'd have grown up fine if you were ever home to see her.
I've spent all my time and money on every treatment for miles around. What more do you want from me? Everything is for her, damn it!
I'm sorry. I just don't know where we went wrong.
You'll be all right, my darling. I found the answer. She'll become a lady. We'll be all right.
The automaton, splayed out upon its burial ground, reflected Etta back at herself. Either her parents would continue to pursue her model form, or discard her here with the rest of their failures. Something inside her resisted their attempts to shape her into the former, as much as she dreaded the alternative. In recent years, poor Etta had been haunted by a recurring nightmare. She would watch as the skin peeled from her fingers, revealing the robotic inner workings she'd unknowingly been operating on all along. Each time she awoke, she felt as if a piece of her had been stolen, replaced by something cold and immutable. She knew better than to share the nightmare with others, even as its toll on her became harder to hide.
Aha! Oh, if only you were a touch more mellow. Oh, now you're perfect.
Etta's left foot had slipped under the scraps as she kneeled. It was now lodged inside a fractured gear. Blind fear overcame her and... Oh, God. You'll hurt yourself if you carry on like that. Come on now, Etta. It's going to be all right.
Is someone there? Huh. Could have sworn I heard a voice. Oh my. A doll's leg? Here. Those covetous bastard bigwigs had better not be trying their hands at toy making. They've sucked the life out of enough already. Regardless, I shan't let such a find go to waste. Oh, and a fully intact automaton! Who on earth would discard such a perfect thing? Oh, the lot shall have to be mine.
In a single swipe, our toymaker had gathered much more than she bargained for, too pleased with her findings to wonder why the sack she heaved onto her splintering cart nearly made it collapse on itself. Sable had covertly claimed an abandoned blacksmith's on the edge of the village as her workshop and residence, following the incident that cost her career. It had involved...
Excuse me, should we not save talk of that for a more pertinent moment, perhaps?
Dear God, I'll never get used to that. Well, there is a lull in the action at present, so I thought to seize the opportunity... Wait, I don't have to justify myself to you. I'm telling the story.
Really? I'd consider it more of a collaborative exercise.
Well, strictly speaking...
I'm wise to your methods, anyhow. You should know I cannot abide by a lull. I shall see to my findings. It's a badger. Or a rabbit. Oh, hell's bells, I've caught an animal. Oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God. Here, come out, or you'll hurt yourself more. Take my hand. Your face. Your ankle. No, wait. I possess the remedy. Stay there, please. Oh, I'm so sorry. Imbecile.
Etta admired the place she'd been stolen away to, while her unwitting captor rummaged along benches littered with tools. It was impossible to believe that ordinary, everyday objects like ointment and bandages could exist in a place like this. Handmade shelves lined the walls, each crowded with every toy and game Etta could think of, even ones she'd only imagined, some moved by themselves, powered by forces Etta did not understand, while others stayed still. All were united in their longing for the attention of curious eyes and hands. Miniature painted ballerinas raised their stick-like limbs as they jittered along satin-curtained stages. Glass eyes set inside bright green mechanical frogs begged for someone to turn their keys and set them hopping. Rocking horses, I knew it! Rested upon intricate wheels, a hybrid creature of pure morbid fantasy. Every now and again, a sparkle of soot would rain from the ceiling and dirty the meticulous work, which saddened Etta. She'd never known that Pigeon Heath hosted a toy maker, and apparently neither did Pigeon Heath.
Here. Antiseptics, dressings, bandages. Never been used.
Your fingers.
Reflective of the efforts that surrounded her, Sable's hands were sliced, scarred, burnt, and spattered with flaking paint. Beads of blood pooled at the edges of fresh wounds from handling sharp metal, but she hardly seemed to notice.
What? My fingers? Oh, goodness, don't worry about that. It's all part of the job. Pain and pleasure in equal measure. You, on the other hand, what were you doing hiding amongst the scrap? No, my apologies. That sounds horribly accusatory. How do I phrase this? What events led you to... No. Oh, that. You wanted to take it?
No.
You were disposing of it? Hell's bells, who would put such a task upon a child in the middle of the night? There, no more blood. Now, I imagine your family is worried sick about you. Those are just odds and ends I've been tinkering with. Not done yet. Nothing special.
Special. Very special.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you. Your name is?
Etta.
Thank you, Etta. Sable Wayland, at your service. If there is anything I can do to atone for my carelessness, please... Ah, taken with my little dances, are you? Would you like to know how it works?
Can I?
Hell's bells, of course you may.
Hell's bells.
Well, the dancers are attached to a conveyor system hidden inside the stage. Tiny little levers inside their chests are triggered by the movement in their legs. That's what lifts their arms up every 3 seconds. Even the parts we can't see work like hell to keep the performance going. I'm proud of my work, but I feel I've bestowed some tragedy upon them. I suppose it's a natural outcome when one spends their days repurposing city rejects. Why not give them another shot at life, you know? Why not imbue hollow things with some soul? I can't stop myself. Even if no one sees. Even if my fingers turn to bone. Anyhow, I do believe I have a dancer prototype around here somewhere. Ah, yes, the first Coppelia. She was a stationary figure atop a music box when I still sold my wares. One of my bestsellers, in fact. Until I broke off all her limbs, articulated them, mechanized them, and reattached them to her body. Merci, Sable. Now I can really dance.
Wow.
Would you like to keep her?
Oh, no.
Consider her my apology. Her mechanisms are too small to ever hurt you. I'd like you to have her, if you would.
Yes. Please.
Well then, I entrust my star dancer to you. I can see in you a fellow appreciator of art, after all.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I wish to escort you home, in the interest of you and your family's well-being.
Okay.
Besides, this is no place for a child, ironically enough.
May I come back? I want to know about those, and this, and that.
Oh, well, I suppose an educational afternoon can be arranged. Just as long as you keep it a secret. I swear upon my life that I mean you no harm, but it doesn't stop others from believing so.
No harm. Just art.
They're more similar than you'd think.
What?
Nothing. I'll light a lantern and we'll be off. It's been a pleasure, young Etta.
It's been a pleasure.
Two nights of safety in Grey Violet Cottage had affirmed to Sable that it was the very picture of domestic wealth and comfort. In other words, her worst nightmare. She'd had all her teens and 20s to grow familiar with the plump, plush furnishings and ornate china plates of Penny's parents' house. But the new marital home of her old flame was a different beast entirely. The stench of sanctimony was ever present behind fresh-cut flowers, and the rooms never grew any warmer, even with fires blazing in each. Sable believed these qualities reflected onto the house from within Penny, not the other way around. Moreover, she'd never seen a single thing suggesting the tastes, nor even the existence of Penny's elusive husband. Sable didn't even know his name. Perhaps he was merely another embellishment.
Yes, those were my thoughts exactly. See, I knew you'd hit the target eventually.
So what, you're grading my efforts now? How would you like to be narrator for a day?
Very much, I should think. Control over my own narrative seems a privilege I cannot afford.
I see.
Who are you debating with?
Oh, no one.
Well, keep your voice down. You've a very recognizable tone.
I hate it when you're right.
After 2 uneasy nights at Grey Violet spent out of each other's way, Penny and Sable returned to the latter's workshop under the cover of darkness, hoping to ensure its safety amidst the ongoing search. Sable had been unable to sit still in the knowledge that it could be ransacked by a torch-wielding mob, and without any scraps or gadgets to distract herself, had nearly broken a teacup just to reconstruct it with ribbons and barbed wire.
Oh, thank the stars. Untouched, it looks like. Oh, my apologies. There.
Thank you. I still can't believe that it doesn't drive you mad, hearing that racket all day.
You forget it's my favourite sound in the world, Penny, my dear.
Will you stop calling me that? It is utterly juvenile, and besides, I am Pennybacker no longer. Thanks to Norman, it's Darlington now.
Ah, I understand completely. I am to call you darling instead, yes?
You are insufferable.
You love it.
Previously unable to imagine anything worse than the destruction of her life's work, Sable now worried more for the fate of Etta Sterling, unknown and unseen since the gathering in the square. Every creation she should have delighted to see intact only reminded her of her young friend, the memories of whom had slowly been eating her alive.
She was scared of these at first. It was the way they move. But then... It's all right, I promise. I crafted him an age ago when I was still in business. He just needs a bit of oil and maybe some new eyes. If you really don't like it, he can go away.
He looks so real. But then...
I understand. The gap between mimicry and the real thing can be too much for the mind to comprehend.
But it's beautiful. I wish I wasn't scared.
Oh, the automaton, of course. Where did that come from? The one you were disposing of the other week?
The city? It was for my brother. From my parents.
Oh dear, that explains a lot. Look, I want this place to be safe for you, so don't force yourself to engage with what scares you.
You engage with it?
I'm not scared of my work.
Even if my fingers turn to bone?
Well, touché. I'm just conscious of the danger is all. But the fears and risks are my burden to bear.
No. I want to create too. Please, teach me.
No. No, I won't have you come to any more harm by my hand.
It hurts more not to. I'm Capellia. A prototype. But I'm too wrong to fix.
What makes you say that?
My parents. They want me to head up, come out, say this, stop that. I go on stage and dance for them, but I never do it right. If I could create, I would be right. But I don't have anything.
You do now. Just, invest in a pair of gloves, all right? Moving parts, sharp things.
Where do we start?
Why, anywhere you like. Everything can be learned.
Show me.
All right, then. If you fall asleep during the following series of demonstrations, just know that you brought it upon yourself.
The same memory had given Etta a fleeting moment of joy during her third night of captivity in her own bedroom. She had kept the Capellia prototype on her person since the moment she received it, studying its craftsmanship in preparation for afternoons spent learning from Sable. Etta had developed a tendency to fiddle with the ballerina's limbs to soothe herself after encounters with her brother, and it was in this way that a fallen miniature arm had made Oscar wise to his sister's new acquaintance. It was all he needed to seize her strings and set his witch hunt into motion, and Etta had filled every vacant moment of her life with self-blame since that morning in the square. Despite it all, she...
Starving ourselves, are we? Come on now. The servants made these, not me. Doesn't concern me either way. You've already served your purpose.
I'm not afraid of you.
What? What was that?
I'm not afraid of you.
How remarkable. The toy maker has succeeded in crafting an even more unpleasant version of you.
I'm not a robot.
Oh, I know. But they won't.
What will they do to her?
Whatever makes them feel more powerful. It's wonderful that we can give them a taste of it, don't you think? Pigeon Heath stays safe, and we stay clean. You better appreciate it.
We have to hurt. We're going to hurt.
What? Ugh, I'm wasting my time. Enjoy rotting with your meat and vegetables.
I should have sent her home. On that very first night, I should have just sent her home.
Yes, you should have.
A little sympathy would go a long way in my predicament.
You should know that someone as well acquainted with you as I am would have none to give.
Acquainted? Is that what we are?
Sable, stop.
No, I won't stop. I've had it up to here with your cold feet and your cold heart. Oh, I'm Penny. I'm a Darlington now. Look at my perfect house. I spend every day talking about nothing with nobody.
All right, fine. It's not the most inspiring life one can have, but at least it's a life. I had the sense to know when to settle for comfort.
To hide your unsavory past.
It is you who made it unsavory. Damn you, you've seduced me. You made me think I was investing my money for the benefit of children.
You were! Were all those smiling faces and sharpened minds not proof enough?
It's all well and good until someone is damaged beyond repair. It shouldn't have been him. Anyone but him.
Jasper,
Don't you dare speak his name.
I didn't mean it to happen. He wanted to play with my first mechanical endeavour as soon as it was done. You couldn't say no to him any more than I could.
I can't say anything to him now. He's not my son anymore.
He was my son too.
I still imagine him in that horrific city hospital, having his little fingers removed one by one. Held down, crying in agony.
I wanted him to feel like he could do anything. I wanted every child to know who they were and what they wanted. I know I've been careless.
Children can't just start again when everything goes wrong. You don't care about the lives of others. Not really. You don't realise that some people wish to live without pain.
Without pain. That's just proof of numbness. Life knocks on your door every day and you deafen it with your husband's factory standard radio.
That is different. I made that choice. Children cannot.
They can. I've seen it. Etta Sterling was a phantom of herself before she entered this workshop. One look at what more she could do, and her soul just re-entered her body. I saw it happen. God, I didn't transform her. She did that herself, just as I did at her age. That's what these people can't fathom. Children are astonishingly capable, intelligent creatures, and we spend every day convincing them otherwise. I can't look away from it. Especially not from girls like her.
I know, Sable, but you can't change the world.
I wanted to start with this place. I couldn't give up on it. Do you know how rare it is to find someone in these streets who isn't sleepwalking? Jasper, he was such a resourceful little boy. Wherever he is now, I believe wholeheartedly that he's thriving again. I have to.
He did always stand straight up after falling off that bike.
And he kept reciting poetry in class after those boys gave him hell for it.
It shouldn't have happened. I'll never deny it, and I'm still yet to forgive you. But I know you're right about him. We'll see his name on a patent or a novel someday, and that wouldn't be so without you.
Hey, I just make garish nightmares out of junk. The rest is all my clientele. Was my clientele.
Was? So you're erasing your biggest fan?
What?
Etta Sterling. Are you giving up on her?
No. Yes. They'll kill me if I show myself and hurt her either way. I can't protect her.
You have to try. You alone have the means.
I create, I destroy, but I've never repaired anything. Not in a way that mattered. For that, I'd need to... Oh. God, if I... No, what about... No, not durable enough.
Sable? Sable, what are you doing?
Sorry, how to explain? Well, you're like this. I'm going to betray all of my principles for approximately a week and a half. And I'll need you to distract the entire village until then.
How?
Lead the mob. Fill their heads with noise. Make yourself known, really known. People settle for Oscar Sterling, but they'll listen to you. Event organizer, wife of a city traveller, you've got cards to play.
But my reputation... No. It does not matter. Miss Sterling is far more important. Okay, I will do this.
Excellent. When you step in, Oscar will be so preoccupied with regaining control over his little drones that he won't notice the absence of his angelic younger sister.
Excuse me.
And here I thought you'd actually left us alone. What is it?
I merely wish to guide you to Etta's whereabouts, in case you weren't aware of them.
I wasn't. Wait, aren't you breaking multiple cardinal rules of narration at present?
I do believe I am. But if Miss Pennybacker sees fit to discard the rules, then so do I. For Etta Sterling and you. I'll see you both reach the ending you deserve.
Thank you.
I take it that is my cue to leave.
Oh, God, sorry, yes.
I'll go and prepare my words. I shall enjoy opposing the Sterlings. I never thought much of them.
Whoa, steady on there. You'll be rebelling against all social decorum by morning.
And what will you do?
I'll start with the sketch.
There, that window on the right.
That's 3 floors up. How?
She made that by herself, you know. It's all dress straps, bed sheets, shoe buckles and necklaces.
I'm so proud, but is she really?
Just hold on to the end.
Hell's bells.
Hell's bells. How did you?
I wanted to leave.
Oh, you are an incredible creature. Do you abide hugs?
Yes.
The two friends, reunited against all odds, shared a warm, secure embrace. Unlike any they'd experienced before, they... Actually, pay me no heed.
We must return to my workshop. The plans for your first project await. It's a hard sell, but if it succeeds, it'll save us both.
I'll do it.
Thanks to Penny's scripts and standing, a week passed in blind delirium for the villagers of Pigeon Heath. Rumours travelled in cries and wails, stories of Miss Wayland being raised by robots, making everyday objects into death traps and replacing every child in the village. Nobody knew whether they were coming or going, hunting or hunted, heads full of noise as they spun in circles and crashed into each other. Oscar was unsuccessful in putting out the fire Penny had lit and gradually faded from the public eye. Penny prayed that it would stay this way. Just one more day, Sable had said.
We cannot give up. Tomorrow is another day. By our collective conviction, Wayland shall be brought to justice.
Mrs. Darlington, it's all too much. I can't.
Oh my goodness. Are you all right? Speak to me.
Penny raised the head of the villager she caught in her arms. They were cold to the touch, eyes dull and lifeless.
Oh God. Oh God.
While feeling for a pulse, Penny's fingers slipped inside a cut in the villager's neck. Something glinted under the skin, reflecting the red of the sunset. It was not the red of blood. Horrified, Penny pulled at the flap of skin and revealed a smooth, shiny layer of pure silver metal. The villagers closest to the commotion craned their necks down at their own hands in perfect unison. A new form of hysteria bubbled, ready to boil over, yet nothing came to pass. Each time someone opened their mouth to scream, they stopped short. A hollow, palatable imitation of agony. It seemed less that they could not scream, and more that they would not, as long as everyone bit their tongues, desperate not to be the first to cry out. No one did. The sight disturbed Penny precisely for its familiarity, and away she fled. Penny ran like a magnet, bolting through space to her polar opposite. Sudden doubts in her own humanity threatened to stop her, but she resolved to bear her fears for as long as it took to save a young girl from hers.
I don't know. It's not quite finished.
That means it's perfect. She's perfect.
Then she's perfect for me too. I can't believe we...
Sable, you have to leave. There.
Ah! Penny!
You want something done right? You have to do it yourself!
Etta, cloth, project, now. Etta, run. I'll finish this.
No, I won't leave you.
How touching. Turn yourself into me, Wayland, or it's your scissors in her neck.
You can't kill her. I replaced her with a robot, remember?
You making a fully autonomous human replica in this pigsty. Only a fool would believe it. You're a nuisance at most. A problem child in an adult's body, turning every child you see into another problem. That's what these gadgets and gizmos are really for. You were quite the perfect scapegoat. But we've grown tired of this circus act.
Those can't be your words. What are you, 18? And who's we?
Father. Mother.
Finally catching on, are we? Clever girl. Shame it's too late for that defective little brain of yours. You know, I don't think you realize how fortunate we are to be able to travel to the city. All that progress, all those answers. So close, yet so far. Would you blame your fellow citizens for their fears? Who knows what horrors could be hidden in plain sight?
You made them robots.
Oh my god. Oh god. You killed all those people and replaced them with robots?
Heavens, no! How primitive! Our device starts on the inside, demoralize them just long enough to swoop in as their savior, all-purpose antidote in their time of need. These people long for answers so badly that they didn't stop to question just what they were consuming.
Monsters. They'll never feel again.
Precisely. One moment of pain, and then it all goes away. Mother has always been the altruistic sort, but Pigeon Heath is merely a testing ground. For Wayland's public demise will pacify those of the imperfect model, and then Mother and Father will return with the finished device. Get it? It's all for you, darling sister. You'll be the magnum opus.
No, Etta, we can face this. I won't let this happen to you.
I tried.
Oh, cut it! You make me sick. You don't stop until everyone is fussing and fretting over you, do you? Sickly, tragic, helpless little worm!
As Oscar shifted to hold the scissors closer to his detested sister, Sable made eye contact with his peculiar brooch, staring back at her in recognition.
Wait, my frogs. That's from one of my frogs.
What? Makes sense, madwoman.
I remember you. That frail little boy in the corner, the day of my grand opening. We spoke. My, you've changed.
For once in his life, Oscar Sterling was speechless. He tried to crush memories of idolizing the village toymaker by tearing his most beloved childhood possession apart, boasting the carnage as a badge. But her face, still lined with the care and concern she'd shown him back then, reflected in its chipped surface, externalizing his own true desires in turn.
You're not your parents' puppet, Oscar. You're better than that. Doing this won't make them look at you.
No, I won't fail.
Oscar, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I never wanted this. Please.
Quiet!
Penny!
You envy the helpless, do you? Savor the feeling.
Penny! Oh God, are you?
Penny lifted a lock of her hair to reveal blood pooling at the top of her forehead. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
I must have been good at mimicking those things. Never again.
Etta stepped out of Sable's embrace and returned to her brother's side, peering down into his hollowed eyes. She felt something like pity, watching him cough up sterling blood he'd never asked to have, just as she hadn't. In her heart, she believed there was a future for both of them, despite everything. He deserved some peace of his own. But not before he'd reckoned with the horrors he'd carried out.
Penny?
Understood.
What? What are you doing? Put me down!
The architects of your misery will return soon. For now, seize their accomplice!
Stay away! Do as I say!
You two need to leave now.
It feels wrong. I can't abandon my home like this.
You can't get cold feet now. Do it for Etta. The people are confused, but they still mean to find you. Your work here is done.
But what about you?
Someone needs to guide these people. I want to learn how to do good by them. Really, do good. They still have lives left to live.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too. I'll look for you someday.
Oh, I anticipate news of our escapades will find you first.
What exact land I don't want to know. Never mind, just lay low for a little while.
Will do. Keep in touch, Penny.
I promise.
Sable?
Right, let's put her in position. Grab your bags, dear protege. Goodbye, Penny. Make them all feel at home, won't you?
Citizens, I bring good tidings. The Sterling girl, she was here all along.
The people of Pigeon Heath trudged away from the fainted body of their former ringleader, and towards a blacksmith's hovel no one could quite recall the existence of. When the first of the crowd craned their heads around the doorframe, an angelic glow at the centre of the darkness stood in greeting. Upon closer inspection, the glow possessed a petite stature, 2 glass eyes, ceramic skin, and synthetic sun-golden curls. Her head lolled slightly to the side, loose on its hinges for the haste of her makers. She was silent, still, shiny, and susceptible. In other words,
The Sterling girl.
She's safe.
Not a hair out of place.
Our angel. Our angel.
Goodbye, Pigeon Heath.
Sable? Where will we go?
Wherever problem children need creating, I should think. Fancy the life of a travelling merchant, my friend?
Yes.
Then we'll seek it. This world is ours!
and thus the world beckoned forth the curious eyes and wounded hands of a profoundly human pair, the Toymaker to be once more, and the girl who shed her sterling shell.
Did someone say something?
The Sterling Girl, an original audio drama. Starring Selby Elliott as Etta Sterling and Nico Emmett as Sable Wayland. The narrator was played by Rory Hunter. Oscar Sterling was played by Freddie Mowat Leyenda. Anne Penny Pennybacker was played by Joss Creighton. Mrs. Sterling was played by Val O'Grady. Mr. Sterling was played by John Henson. Selby Elliott, Nico Emmett, Simon Christensen, Yanto Colacott, George Doubtfire, Pippi, Val O'Grady, and John Henson were the villagers. The Sterling Girl was written and directed by Nico Emmett, produced by Felix Reed, and recorded at the University of Kent Sound Studio.